Hey, welcome back to the Uncomfortable is Okay podcast. I'm your host, Chris Desmond. This is a show where we help you get better at doing hard things. On this week's mini episode, I want to have a bit of a chat to you about avoidance and why in particular we avoid doing those hard things even when we know that they're probably going to be good for us. So we will often avoid tasks when there's uncomfortable feelings associated around them, when things are going to be challenging or we feel that they're going to be slightly awkward. And this is typically because we feel the outcome is uncertain. So that challenge we're going to take on, we're not sure, are we going to succeed or are we going to fail with this? That conversation that we want to have with someone, we really want to put our point of view across, we're not sure how they're going to take it, or actually it's just uncomfortable to start the process of getting going. Like if it's raining and cold outside and you should go for a run, it's uncomfortable to put your shoes on. So it's usually easier to do something else to escape those uncomfortable feelings, especially to escape that uncomfortable feeling of uncertainty around the outcome. So that's why we'll usually avoid doing that thing that's uncomfortable. Often we'll trick ourselves and we'll replace it with something that feels productive and feels like, hey, it's pushing us forward towards our goals, but actually it isn't. It's just busy work. So doing things for the sake of doing things rather than things are actually going to get you closer to your goals. So I've been thinking about it in terms of a little bit of a ladder. So avoiding sits down the bottom of the ladder. So when you're avoiding, basically you're doing nothing, or you're actively not doing the things that are going to get you closer to your goals. Then sitting the step above avoiding, you're drifting. So you're doing some things, but they're sporadic and you're really lacking direction around that. So you've got avoiding, you've got drifting, sitting above them, you're moving. So you're starting to do the right things. Again, it's intermittent. Sometimes it's in the right direction. Sometimes it's off on a complete tangent as well. But you're generating a little bit of momentum. And there's probably still a little bit of avoidance thrown in there from time to time. So there's avoiding, drifting, moving, and then top of the ladder, you're creating. So the opposite of avoiding, I think, is implementing. So you're implementing and you're creating possibilities for yourself. So the metaphor around that really is that avoidance is it's like a drug. It's a quick, effective solution to uncomfortable feelings in the moment. But if we keep going with it, avoidance is like a drug. It's a quick, effective solution to uncomfortable feelings initially. But over time, if we keep doing it, it really turns into a big problem for us. And actually, if we continually avoid things, it makes us really, really uncomfortable ourselves because we're not working on purpose. So we want to go from avoiding and we want to move through drifting and moving stages to get to the creating stage where you're implementing and you're generating the possibilities of achieving your goals. So I think Alice Boyes sums it up reasonably well in terms of some things that we can do, an article that she wrote for Psychology Today. So avoiding doing things doesn't work. It doesn't actually get you any closer to the outcome that you want to get to. Also, there's a really high cost in avoiding doing something. So you waste a lot of time and you waste a lot of energy actively avoiding the thing that you know that you should do. But there's also the cost of lack of progress and the cost of your self-identity and your feeling of self-worth. That if you go and do something, sometimes it's going to succeed, sometimes it's going to fail, but at least you would have tried. So you'll feel good about yourself for trying. If you don't try, then that's a cost of some self-worth. So really to avoid avoiding, what we want to do is we want to become comfortable with, or we want to become tolerant of uncomfortable feelings. And the recent Friday episodes, so for the last 10 or so, we've been through different strategies that will help you become more comfortable with those uncomfortable feelings. So if you haven't listened to maybe the last 10 Friday episodes, I'd really encourage you to go back and have a listen to those ones. But some stuff that you can think about in terms of helping you become more comfortable with uncomfortable feelings is that we soften into them and try and relax into those comfortable feelings rather than tense up and fight against them. So I think of the analogy around that is like you're trying to do a stretch, that actually if you relax into the stretch, you're going to get a lot further in terms of the movement, that if you try and push it to the end of what you can do straight away, your body's going to want to recoil, it's going to want to fight back, rather than if you relax into it, then you go more slowly, but you get further with it. Also, some psychological self-soothing, so positive self-talk, your positive affirmations, but also those strategies that we've been talking about over the previous months. And just reminding ourselves also that our thoughts are distorted, that we're wired to avoid discomfort. But discomfort is often really important for us to go through to get to the other side so we can reach that creating level. So quite a nice story around avoidance and why it's bad is, if you think back to your childhood, it's the three little pigs. So you got your first little pig who built his house out of straw because he wanted to avoid hard work. And what do you know? The big bad wolf came and blew it down. The second little pig built his house out of wood because, again, he wanted to avoid some hard work. And what do you know? The big bad wolf came and blew it down. The third little pig was thinking long term. He was thinking, all right, I need to put in this hard work. So he built his house out of brick. And when the big bad wolf came to try and blow it down, then he couldn't. So it's a nice little story from your childhood about why you should avoid avoidance. So I guess in summary, avoidance is like a drug. It feels effective in the moment, but in the long run, it's going to cause you big problems. It's not going to get you any closer to your goals. It's going to waste a lot of time and energy. So avoid avoiding, people. Avoid avoiding. Let me know, leave a comment on the social media about what you've been avoiding and what you're going to stop avoiding this week. I'd love to know, and hopefully I'll have some ideas to help you out with that. Thanks so much for getting uncomfortable with me today.